You're listening to the Best Advice Podcast, guys. If you haven't already, give us a 5-star review and help spread the word. And if you have a question for the guys, email a voice recording to podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com. That's podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Security Financial Management. If you're ready to level up your financial game, SFM offers a free initial consultation after each episode. Just send an email to podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com with the subject line complimentary consultation to book yours today.
Welcome back to Best Advice Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Rob Lovaglio, here as always with Dave Allen, Frank Lovaglio, and Mitch Walk. Gentlemen, what's crack-a-lackin'?
What's crack-a-lackin'?
We're still going. It's all good.
I like it.
You know
every
what's
time.
crack-a-lackin'? Things in the market are doing well.
Knock on wood.
We had that
on wood,
little
knock on
April
wood, yeah.
issue, and
Rallying
it's
okay.
rallying again, and it's almost close to the high again.
Absolutely, man.
Managing that soft landing.
Soft
coming in
landing.
and managing that soft landing.
So that's good news.
Yeah,
That's
so
good
far.
news.
about that one.
And then but until tomorrow, some other inflation report comes out, and it comes in so nice, and if that comes in like there's still inflation, bam! All of a
Bam.
sudden we're back
Bam.
on the roller coaster.
Right.
We're
So
long-term.
Right.
that's it.
Long-term
Long term,
perspective.
and don't follow the daily news like
Absolutely,
that. Just listen to the
absolutely.
Minute with Mitch. That's all you need.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
listen to this.
That's all you need. That's all.
So we like to start each episode with a powerful practice of positive thinking, and we like to call this segment "Give Me Something Good." So Dave, give me something good.
I'm just going to do a quick quote. We've been doing these big, long things lately. Just a quick one, and I absolutely have no idea who said this.
Take authorship of
Let me
it.
just read it, but I said it.
Okay, it's Dave.
Time decides who you meet in your life. Your heart decides who you want in your life. And your behavior decides who stays in your life.
Now he's a philosophizer.
That's
Think
true.
about that.
That's good.
That's true. That's got a lot of truth to it, right?
You can ruin a lot of
Yeah.
relationships or make a lot of good relationships just by the way you behave.
Sure.
Right.
Your actions. And
That's
mean
good,
a lot.
Dave.
For
That's good.
example.
I like it.
That's
We,
good.
That's
It's a
interesting, Dad.
good
We our family was talking about like everyone was put in your life at different places.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking
Wasn't
about
Caroline
this
saying that?
weekend.
It was like
Yeah.
one's there to like give you
Yeah.
confidence and then leave.
Yeah.
One's there for like the
Yeah.
long term, like really likes you. The other one's there for different reasons, but they come
Yeah.
and go throughout your life. But everyone's there like for a reason. And sometimes you're there for someone else's reason.
That's
and
right.
And you're kind of getting the shit in of
You're
it.
helping them through
Yeah.
something. So God might put you to be the helper or the helpee, if those are words. Sometimes you're helping others, sometimes
why-
people helping you.
Somebody enters your life. Have you ever had somebody that enters your life that all at once just becomes like almost your best friend? in a
Yeah,
very
there's
short period
there's a
of time?
feeling.
If
Yeah.
there's some reason they're there, and it's like you wonder, is it a higher power?
Help you get through
And
something.
just-
or
and
whatever,
go with
yeah.
it.
And
Just
then
go
there's
with
that
it.
person that gets in your life that you wish never entered your life, and then you learned a real lesson from it.
But those are warning. I think that again, I'm gonna go with faith because I'm a faithful guy. I think God puts people in your life, and I think a lot of times it is not by mistake. I think that
Challenge.
people come in, and even the ones that aren't so good. I think that's God's way of saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a little warning shot here. Be careful of these type of folks.
Yeah.
They're kind of toxic, and then it's your job, just like you said, to decide not to make them part of your life and to get them out of there. So anyway.
That's where the old
Yeah.
saying comes: "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me."
That's right.
And that's that lesson.
Yeah,
I'm glad you got it right, because
Yeah, that's
someone
hard.
in the old days didn't get that right. Remember,
That's right.
20 years ago.
I
What's
love
our
it.
question
I
of the
love
day,
it.
Robert?
I love it. Let's get to the question of the day. Today's question comes from Mitch from Destin. Mitch, what you got for us?
You want to say something?
Got a tax question for you guys. With sunsetting provisions of the real estate tax code coming up in 2025, are there any planning strategies to get ahead of this?
Thank you, Mitch. I got nothing for you guys today. Who wants to start this one off?
I'll start because I'm going to let these guys talk about that fun slat provision. Easy that day. And I'll start it off. One of the things that I wanted to chat about is the gifting. A lot of people don't realize that each year you can give away to as many people as you want $18,000 in 2024. Looks like it's going to go to $19,000 next year. But let's say, for example, I'm in a really great mood and I just want to give $18,000 to all my partners. So Mitch gets $18,000, Dave gets $18,000, Rob gets $18,000. I'm still feeling generous. I'm looking for some other folks. No, but people need to understand, if you're a spouse, husband and wife, that's 18 apiece. That's $36,000 you can give to each child. So if you got 5 kids, you can so the
When
key
you
to
give
that.
it to them, does that mean they get it tax-free, Frank, or do they?
Yeah, great
get it-
question. And that's the reason you go up to, in 2024, 18,000 is the max, because you can give $18,000 away to as many people as you choose, each
And
person
they don't pay tax.
without taxes. There's no gift tax return. There's no paperwork. It's a tax-free gift to the recipient, which is a big deal. The other thing I wanted to mention before you guys get into a little more meat on some of those provisions or planning strategies is the part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which Trump put in 2017, that's going to expire in 2025. But part of that whole TCJA, Tax Cuts and Job Act, was city and state taxes. A lot of people don't realize, if you live in the Northeast and you're in Long Island or you're in Connecticut
Or California, 'cause those are the two states that were targeted.
California was targeted too. $10,000 is the maximum you can deduct on your tax return for city taxes. So if you've got a piece of property in Malibu, California, and that's a $5 million piece of property, let's just say you're paying $100,000 in taxes on that real estate tax. You could only deduct $10,000. The other 90, you're on your own. So that's going to go back. A lot of people in the Northeast and California, New York and California were kind of the two big targeted states. They're going to be happy. There's a lot of things that aren't going to be
So,
good.
so now when that happens, the 10,000 is going to go back to what it was.
Was
You can
before.
deduct the
There
whole
was
thing.
no deduction, right? No minimum.
There was
So
no
whatever
minimum.
it is,
No minimum.
and people may have heard it's called
Right.
SALT.
Salt. That's right.
That's
State
the
and local
state
taxes.
and local taxes.
That's right.
So you may have heard of it.
You spilled the salt. Spilling the salt is very bad luck.
I'm not sure what
Not
it is.
salt.
That's
you put on
that's
your
one of
eggs.
the only silver lining.
That's the only silver.
One of the
lining.
other one. That's
Yeah.
why I brought it up. We got to help you guys out.
Right.
Thank you.
Frank, I just wanted to mention one other thing based on your 18,000.
Yes.
If you have kids or grandchildren and you want to give money away, you can accelerate it by putting it into a 529. So you can
How
actually,
many years can you do
I
up
believe it's
front?
5 years
what I
up
thought.
front
Okay.
in one shot.
Okay.
You can't keep giving it every year, but you can take the
5
full
of your 18s
five-
up front.
5 18s up front,
Okay.
a little less than $100,000 up front, and fund that 529. So that money's actually working 5 years earlier, or a big
Makes
bundle
sense.
of it, and a lot of it comes out of your estate tax free.
And remember, on the
And it goes-
529, that's right, there's no tax, it's tax free. So
Right.
put 18 times 5, so 20 times 5 is 100. What's 18 times 5? 92? Where's financial advice?
Yeah,
Right?
financial 92.
92, so you put 92,000
I need
in.
to calculate.
Right.
Great point. That means all 92's going to work and growing
Right.
tax free.
Right, and it's out of your estate, and husband and wife can both give it. So the kid's going to get about about $184,000
Nice.
out of the
Dad are
estate.
completely still in charge of it.
They're still in charge of it.
You
Yes,
can put a
but
string. Tell us that. You can put a
They are
string
owners
on
of
it.
it.
The mom and dad own it.
Dad own it. Or
Right.
whoever you want to own it. If
Right.
it's grandpa doing it for a grandkid, he
Right,
can own
he
it.
can own it.
Grandma.
Question for you guys then. You put in the 92, both parents do, so now you got 184,000. That's a pretty
Right.
good chunk of money there, and great place for probably you let that compound. You got college done, plus room and board,
Right.
and other things. What happens if grandchild, let's call him Joey, little Joey, he just hates school. He's just a great electrician. What happens to that
You're
money?
in charge of that money yourself. and
How do you get
can
it
give
back?
You give it to another grandkid.
But also, so you know, this year the law just changed. The tax law changed on that. A percentage of that money, if the child does not go to college, can roll into an IRA for that
Oh,
child.
that's
Roth
great.
IRA.
Roth IRA.
Roth IRA.
Yeah,
All right, so
Roth
there's-
IRA.
There's a
Okay.
rule on that now. They've got to
Lot of
be-
rules,
It has to
right.
be
Yeah.
in effect for 15 years.
Right.
And then,
Okay.
so I mean, let's say that kid's not going to school, and you
He
know
just hates
he's-
school.
He's not going,
Right.
and maybe you're 5 years into this thing. You can't
Yeah.
roll it right away to a Roth.
No.
You just let it sit there. It's doing what a Roth's doing anyway. It's
Yeah,
growing
tax-free.
And
Right.
then when you hit 15 years, you can do 35,000
Right.
Okay.
In
But
a
you can't do
Roth.
it all at one time.
But that's nice to have that option. Okay, let's just say, just for purpose of the discussion, all those options are off the table. He doesn't want an IRA. There's no other kids that you can transfer it to. Is there some penalty to get it back?
Yeah. You pay tax.
Pay
on
tax
all
on
the
Like
it.
annuity kind of rates, right? Isn't it ordinary income?
Ordinary income, I
Ordinary on the
believe.
gain.
On the gain
On the
piece.
gain, just on the gain, because you
Okay.
have
And then
basis.
there is a little bit of a penalty.
Highly unlikely, though. Normally, there's
No.
one other child or a sibling or.
yourself.
Well, use it yourself. You can use it yourself. There's a lot of options on that.
Master's degree.
Yeah.
I mean, who?
Lots of
people
options.
At 60s want to go back and. do
Yeah.
their
There's a
master's
lot of
degree.
options.
Yeah.
So
No, I
again,
know.
so you can get a lot of money out of your
Me either.
estate, for the estate tax issues, and take care of your grandkids or take care of yourself or
Right.
anybody, because it can go in for anybody.
And it's a big, Mitch, speak a little bit about, and then we'll get into the slats in a minute, a little bit about the big reduction. I mean, it's 13.6 million, right? You can pass
Yeah.
per person?
Right now.
does
it's
it go
about-
to?
It's going to, they haven't made it positive on what it's going to drop to, but probably somewhere around what it was before.
5 or 6.
Yeah, about $5.5 to
adjust for
$6 million.
inflation.
Yeah, they adjusted for inflation. So some people are saying now it could be about $6.5 million. Now again, $6.5 million is still $13 million out of
Decent.
your
With
estate
good planning.
with good planning, right?
Six and
with
a half
good
per
planning.
person, yeah.
This is because again, if you do have fortunate enough to have that kind of number, there's a lot of planning. To your point, Dave, this is just not magical and just happens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of planning between your financial advisor, your attorney, and even your CPA. So what we like to do is have the financial advisor kind of be the quarterback and work with your CPA and your attorney to get this done.
Because
And
we're not attorneys.
we're not attorneys, we're
very
not
clear we're not.
CPAs, but we know what your goals are, so we help manage where you're going forward.
And we understand the rules.
And we
just
do
can't
the
make them
rules.
implement.
Right.
Yeah, because we don't have the law degree to
Right.
sign the documents and give you that tax advice or that legal advice,
Right.
but we quarterback that and work with your other two
Professionals, yeah.
professionals.
To make sure it
So-
all gets done, just
Sit
kind
in
of
those
be,
meetings and be part of them.
yeah.
and make sure, and the attorneys know what they're doing, but there's a lot of complications. There are many, many issues, and it's called the spousal lifetime access trust.
What's the?
It's called a slat, your
Easy.
favorite
Easy
word.
now.
Their
Come
favorite
on.
word, the
Easy.
slat. Okay. But anyway, you
Okay.
need to talk to your attorneys about that if you're in the higher tax brackets. And we think sooner than later, because what's going to happen, while it is a lot of money in the United States, there are a lot of wealthy people that this is going to save them a big chunk of money. And attorneys
So in
only
all
have enough time.
seriousness, I mean, without
Yeah.
making fun of the
The name,
acronym,
yeah. It's
what's it for?
what it does is, as we said earlier, right now, husband and wife, about 13.6 million, say 13 million apiece, get tax-free money to pass on in their estate.
Right now, you could take 27 million.
Yeah, almost
and move
27
that
million
without tax.
without any tax.
Okay.
And
You need two of them.
Husband
you
and
need
wife.
two of them, right? So what the slat does is it takes the money out of your estate, but then there's some very, very important factors here that you make sure you know what you're doing, because once the money comes out of your estate and goes to your spouse, you really lose that because it's not in your estate. You can have use of it. Your spouse has control of it. It can skip a generation. There's a lot of different issues out there. So it's very complicated, but extremely important. I believe the estate tax rate on anything over, say, 6.5 million a piece when it goes back is going to be about 45%. You're going to lose about half your money. And again, we're fortunate we're in Florida, so we don't have state income tax.
Right,
That's
that'd
why
be
a lot
another
of people
chunk.
move here. Mainly, I think there's only 5 states that don't have state income tax.
We're one of them.
Yeah.
Texas is another
Texas, I think Tennessee is one as
one. Yeah. That's why
well.
people are coming this way,
Yeah.
right? They like to avoid
Let
that.
me give a couple caveats. why
Yeah, talk
somebody
about that,
would-
Dave.
May not want to do that.
Yeah.
First one is you need to have a strong marriage, because if you're doing this for you and your spouse, you want to make sure that you stay married. Because if, let's say, the lady, let's go the other direction, is the wealthy one, and she sets up a slat, and it's for the benefit of the spouse. She has access to what he has, but if they get divorced, guess what? It's going to the ultimate the beneficiaries and no longer of her use anymore.
So
It's
you're
out of the
basically,
estate.
so you're getting rid, in a sense, that money's gone. It's out of your estate, so
Right.
you can't really just.
You have
stream.
full use of it. You're
Yeah.
married. It's all
Yeah.
easy, but it is out of your estate. You
Okay.
lose control.
And it's going to grow outside of your estate too.
Right.
So that's a beauty. You got, let's say you got $8 million out there, $6 million, whatever. That $6 million is now growing outside of your estate. So when you ultimately pass to your beneficiaries, your kids, whoever it may be, there is not an estate tax on that number. So there's a real good use of it, but you need to make sure your marriage is strong. You got to make sure you do it right. You got to have the proper assets in there. It can't be joint assets that moved into that. So that's where the attorney will guide you to make. That's why you get a good qualified attorney to really
Gotcha.
identify the assets.
Right.
Let's see. You got to know that you've got to use this money for health, education, maintenance, support. It can't just come out because I need a new Mercedes. It's got to come out because maybe I need it for healthcare reasons. And for beneficiary purposes, this is kind of a big one. You got to be real careful about this is, when you die, let's say you got a house that you paid $300,000 for, and you've lived in Florida for 30 years, and now it's worth $3 million. Well, when your kids inherit that now, they get a step up the cost basis. That $3 million goes to them clear. But if that asset is,
And then if they sell it for 3.1 million, they have $100,000
Right.
tax,
but
not
if they
3
put
million.
that house inside a slat, then they paid 300. They have the original cost basis, so they're going to pay full federal income tax on the gain.
So there's the negative there if it's
That's a negative,
inside the slot.
Yeah.
I always just kind of to wrap up the discussion just for time purposes, it always bothered me a little bit when you think about estate taxes just as they are. I mean, think about you work really hard. We all know you pay income tax. We all know you got FICA, FUTA, all federal income tax, and then you save that money. Then you, if you're fortunate enough to make enough money after all your bills, you then start investing and you invest every year, every
Do
month.
really well.
And all of a sudden let's just make it fun. You accumulate $1 million. It's a nice round number. That's all after tax. And now with these laws, depending on what that exemption is, all of a sudden the government says, hey, I know that's all after tax. You've saved that money, but that wealth we're talking
another
about,
piece.
we're gonna get it again, another 40%. Well, wait a minute, didn't I work 30 years and
Yeah,
this
I
is
guess
all
you have
after?
13 million to do it
Yeah.
with, but
Right.
Yeah, it
but
doesn't
still,
matter. It's no fun.
we
they're
know
not,
a lot of people at 15, 20 million.
another
if you got
40%.
you got 15 million right now. There's basically
You're going to
let's
get
call it
$2-3 million.
You're going to pay tax on additional $5 million. You do that
40% on five, it's another.
45,
Yeah.
I think it's
You're
going
going to pay $2
yeah.
to $2.5 million. You're going to have to.
Thanks
write
so
checks.
much, but here's another $2.5 million tax bill.
But
So-
also, what I don't want to forget about the sunset, because we're talking about some really big numbers, and it doesn't affect the vast majority of the country. However, what affects pretty much everybody is the tax rates are going up. I think we're at 10, 12, 22. Those rates are going up. So it's going to affect everybody right now. So
And of course, all
everybody needs
bets-
to take a look at
Yeah,
this.
and all
Everybody.
bets are off. This is all congressional, right? So depending, and we never get on politics on the show, but depending on who wins, Democrat or Republican, they can sweep this. Someone could grab it and say, you know what, we're going to keep it at 13.6, or they can say, I don't really like that 5.5 number. I mean, that's where it's heading. But
Right.
Any congressional, change, this could be all over the map in the end of 2025 because we got new elections, right?
The reality, there'll probably be something that happens in between now and then. But if everybody ignores it and that date rolls around, it will
Automatically sets
become
back.
that.
And that's what people need. Everybody needs to check the tax bracketing.
Right.
Because those tax brackets are set to go up.
Yeah.
If nothing happens, they
They'll go up.
automatically go up.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to
that
see.
will affect everybody who listens.
All right,
Yeah.
boys, we're getting to 15 minutes right now. As usual, let's get a quick update from the market this week with a Minute with Mitch.
1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute with Mitch.
Well, this week, we are going to see some more numbers come out, which hopefully, as Frank said earlier, are not going to be too scary.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the
Inflation's in
CPI, inflation will be in check. The job numbers were great last week. They were, 303 in
Yeah.
February, and then March numbers came out. They were
Yeah.
only
That
175,000.
was good.
So that's had the
the
market
market.
spark the market again. We did see 3 weeks of a pullback of about 5.5% in April after a very, very big first quarter, one of the best we've had in many years. But now, May so far, here we are right around May 14th or so. The market has really had a good good month of
It's
May.
almost
The numbers are
recovered.
good.
It's
It's
almost
almost
back.
flat.
But it's
April,
getting
yeah.
close.
It's close
Under
to
1 or
that
2%,
5.5%
yeah.
drop. It's very close. So it's really come back strong in the first 2 weeks. So we expect that to hopefully continue. And the end of the week, we'll get some big numbers, and that's going to see where we go again.
yeah, well-
So next week, we'll report on what happened
Because CPI, there's some
Beautiful.
stuff coming out tomorrow, right?
tomorrow, and then usually Wednesday, Thursday.
And then a little bit of the, the underlying hype is, NVIDIA reports tomorrow. Again, we're long-term strategy kind of institutional investors, but still it impacts the market. I was reading something this morning. It said NVIDIA reports and does really well. That gets the AI thing hot again, and everybody gets excited. And
Sweet.
So it all matters.
I don't want to.
It all matters.
This is for another show, but I don't know if everybody caught the meme stocks are back.
Yeah, I saw
GameStop yesterday
yeah.
was up
GameStop
about
blew up,
78%.
Do you see what it's
And
up today?
I didn't.
Yeah,
90%.
78,
Yeah.
80, 90.
Yeah,
It's
and-
crazy.
And the same thing, AMC. So the memes may be back again
Yeah,
as
crazy.
well.
Yeah.
But that does not mean go out and buy today.
No.
Those things you'll get in late and bam, you get hurt.
And
You
boy,
can get hurt on those.
All right. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Mitch. Remember, folks, the secret to wealth is not what you earn, it's what you keep. Happy days, everybody.
This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not intended as personal financial advice. Before making any financial decision, please do your own research and consult a financial advisor as needed. If you have a question for the guys, email podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com.